Hi everybody, welcome back to Ox Talks. I appreciate each and every one of you watching the show today. Please like the videos, hit the thumbs up button for me, share these videos as far and wide as you can. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I would appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. This is an article that relates to the strike, which now is underway along the east coast of the United States. There are strikes at I think 14 ports across the eastern seaboard, all the way from New York down around over to Texas in the Gulf. So this is a major deal. I did two videos last week on the looming strike. There were a lot of people out there saying, well, the government's going to step in and it'll be averted and there'll be a last minute deal. And I asked a bunch of friends of mine and I posed questions, about what they thought, and kind of the consensus was something will be done at the last minute to avert it. And frankly, I was kind of one of those that thought that that would also be the outcome, given that we have an election a mere 5 weeks away, and that it would not be optically good for there to be one of the largest strikes since 1977 by the longshore workers, the ILA. Well, anyway, as of midnight today, or last night, I guess, the strike did begin. If you watch the news today, there were some incidents of violence at some of the ports, and I'm seeing a lot of news on it now. So now all of a sudden, everybody's jumping on this bandwagon, discussing how this is a major deal, how it's going to disrupt supply chains, how it's going to cause inflation to skyrocket, all these things leading up to it. It was covered, but it wasn't covered that much. Now it's all you're seeing. I saw a very interesting article from Yahoo Finance just a little while ago that came out that I wanted to share with you. And before you guys start giving me, hate on my thumbnail for spreading doom and gloom or spreading panic, I'm just going to be sharing with you this article from Yahoo Finance because it's something that we all should be paying attention to. And let me preface by saying, guys like me, and I'm sure many of you watching this video, we're not running out to get anything right now. You know why? Because we have everything we need. We don't wait for an emergency or a strike or a natural disaster or anything like that to prepare. We have food, we have water, we have backup medications, we have our security set. We have these things in place, right? We have water filters, we have propane, we have extra charcoal briquettes, all these things that, you can't get when the shelves are cleared, number one. Number two, people like myself and most of you are simply not going to get caught up in the melee of rushing out last minute to get stuff that you should have already had anyway, okay? But I will tell you a story that feeds into it a little bit. Let me rant for 1 minute and I'll get back onto the article. I walked in, next to my office there is a restaurant, and I walked in last night after a long day. I'd done my workout in the morning, walked in, sat down at the bar to have a quick bite to eat and a drink, and the place was packed. It was Monday Night Football, and you could not get a seat. I found one seat at the very end of the bar in there. There were no tables available, and it was a full party. Everybody was drinking. It was very, very loud, and you could tell it was a crowd that had been in there for not just the last few minutes. They were already pretty well liquored up, and this came on the heels of yesterday, a major disruption with the cellular network across this country, Verizon. We had obviously the incursion of the Israel ground forces yesterday, I believe, which hit the news. A lot of things were happening. The strike was looming. The war talk was ratcheting up in the Middle East. Lots of things were happening, right? And yet you walk into a restaurant and it was jam-packed with people partying, not a care in the world. Again, were those people awake? Do they know what was going on? Do they have plenty of food in the pantry? Do they have their security, their backup medications, all these things? Maybe I'm misreading the situation. But the first thing I thought is, number one, I couldn't wait to get the heck out of there, because it just seemed to me like it was just a bunch of people that just had no idea what was going on. So I had a little bite to eat, and I got out of there pretty quickly. But these are the people by and large that do not take any, they do not put any forethought into having a few things set aside, and they're the ones that are going to be caught up in this this concept, if this strike goes on for longer than everybody thinks, and if there are disruptions in supply chains, and if store shelves do begin to get cleared out like they did during the pandemic, and then they did again in early 2022 when there was labor shortages and all those other things happening with the economy, they're going to be the victims, right? They're going to be the ones panicking. So here's the story from Yahoo Finance. Panic buying already spreading as ILA dock worker strike gets underway. It says a disruption of this scale during this pivotal moment in our nation's economic recovery will have devastating consequences for American workers, their families, and local communities, said Matthew Shea, President and CEO of the National Retail Federation. It says, as union dock workers began striking against employers at East and Gulf Coast ports early Tuesday morning, reports of panic buying at supermarkets almost immediately started spreading across social media. Of course, you've got to take what you see on social media with a grain of salt. I think sometimes some of this stuff is doctored up. But look, a lot of times people are snapping shots and they're posting stuff real time. It says video clips posted by social media users on X and Facebook showed people rushing to buy water, toilet paper, paper towels, and other items at supermarkets and retailers across the United States. It says, are people already panic buying because of the port strike? And that's a question. Here are the grocery shelves in the water section of my local Kroger this morning. I realize, he says, that we are probably also low on water due to the Helene aftermath in East Tennessee, but still not great to see this already. Photographer and author Denise Van Patten posted in a social media video clip on X. Michael Coker posted on X, quote, well, the panic buying is in full swing in my little town in South Carolina. Sam's at 8:30 a.m., no water. Same at Walmart and grocery stores. Next, he says, will be toilet paper. It says the International Longshoremen's Association, the ILA, is the union behind the strike against its United States Maritime Alliance, the USMX employers for a new master contract. We know about this, discussed on the show a couple times last week. It says the major issues on the bargaining table are wages, benefits, and rules on port automation. And that's the scary one, is that they're pushing back the ILA on this automation, meaning having robots come in and take over their jobs down the road. Because I think there were some concessions on, from what I read, on some of the wages and other benefits that they believe they're entitled to. That's a very scary one, because you're going to have automation, guys. I mean, I hate to tell you this. I mean, you're going to see that infiltrating. That's what they want, right? The powers that be want that to happen. So I'm not saying that it's a foregone conclusion necessarily, but it is something that, how do you get over that? How do you have the employers, if you will, stipulate to not allow automation to come into that area, right, or into that part of the economy? I don't know. I don't know what the ending is going to be. A lot of people are on YouTube today saying this will only be a couple of weeks. It'll get resolved either by a negotiation or by the government stepping in. I am not so sure about that. And so it says a disruption of this scale, as we talked about, would be devastating after more than 2 years of runaway inflationary pressures. And in the midst of recovery from Hurricane Helene, this strike will result in further hardship for American families. And I hate to say it, but that will be the case if this does not get resolved very quickly. So all I can say is this. I don't want to go too long. Don't be one of those people that's caught up in this panic buying. I haven't seen any evidence of that. I'm just sharing with you an article. But pay attention to what's happening. And if you see a change in your local supermarkets, the stocking of items, things like that, pick up a few extra things, guys. If you don't already have this stuff set aside, if you don't already have an extra freezer full of meat, if you don't already have extra toilet paper and stuff like that you would need for any other kind of an unforeseen circumstance, you might want to consider grabbing it before the next week or 2 or 3 passes, where the masses, right, the masses of sheeple are going to start putting down their beer and their chicken wings and whatever it is, and thinking, oh, maybe I should go do something about this. All right, so I know I'm being sarcastic. I don't really like sarcasm, frankly, but I think it's appropriate just to hopefully convey the message. Again, many of us are not in this camp, but many of our family members and friends and coworkers and colleagues and loved ones may be, right? I'm still, to this day, most of my friends, although they see what I do, they watch me, they've been watching me for years and years, they hear what I tell them and what I suggest to them, they still don't have any extra food in the pantry, they have no backup water, they have no backup supplies, they have no security. So, you know, you can only lead a horse to water, you can't make them drink, so to speak. So try to wake people up, guys. Share the video. Appreciate each and every one of you again. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, and let's see how this unfolds. Also keeping watch on the Israeli conflict. It looks like, fortunately, they were able to, with the help, probably it seems, of the United States, to deflect or destroy most, if not all, of those missiles that were launched. I read over 200 missiles from Iran earlier today. Scary situation. I'll continue to monitor that as well. Everybody stay safe, head on a swivel, and pay attention to this strike situation. Just keep an eye on what's going on in your community, okay? Because shortages could creep up quickly, all right? Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon. Bye.